Are you a determined and ambitious woman entrepreneur seeking to elevate your selling skills? Then I have a training for you. It's called How Any Woman Can Confidently Close Any Deal in a One-on-One Sales Call in Any Business or Industry. In this training, you'll be shown 3 techniques that you can immediately apply to your consultation calls and improve your close rate. This is a live training with me, and there's going to be an opportunity to ask questions. So come get yourself registered right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/close. Easy, right? Okay, I'm going to see you there.
Do sales conversations make you feel awkward or pushy? It's time to ditch the outdated salesy strategies. Your guide, Nikki Roush, will show you how to combine kindness with selling skills to meet your prospects where they are, and in the process, how to up-level your influence and income. Learn how to earn business easily and effortlessly. Here's Nikki.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Roush, your own personal sales maven, here to offer you tips, strategies, and techniques for mastering the sales conversation. Today's episode is a part of the Mastering Excellence series. This comes from my background in neuro-linguistic programming, where we learn that there is a structure to excellence. And once you understand the structure of how somebody's achieving high results in some area of their life or business, you can then apply that same structure so that you can get similar results in your life and or business. So let me tell you about my guest today and who we're going to be talking to. My guest is Alla Bardov. She is the founder of Sell Yourself for Success and utilizes sales education to help organizations, entrepreneurs, and sales professionals optimize each stage of the sales process to achieve and sustain extraordinary results. Drawing on over 3 decades in corporate America, retail entrepreneurship, sales, and training, it's her experience that sales skills offer universal applicability, cutting across professions and industries. Alla's signature program, Ignite Your Results, focuses initially on building confidence, a crucial trait that she learned to value firsthand that elevates and sets apart individuals beyond their qualifications or levels of success. Her quest to define confidence-building fundamentals started early in life, selling vacuum cleaners door to door. Alla's best-selling book, Get Out of the Rabbit Hole, and accompanying workbook is available on Amazon. For those of you who are watching the video, I'm holding the book up, and it's a guide for how to build confidence to overcome self-doubt, improve performance, and reach one's ultimate potential. Through her relentless philanthropic efforts, Alla aims to change the lives of underprivileged youth via her work with Nancy Lieberman Charities. She's been married to Lewis for 34 years, and they are proud parents of 3 wonderful kids. We are going to be diving in today how to build confidence and let go of self-doubt with the expert, Alla. Welcome to the show, friend.
Yes, thank you so much, Nikki. I just couldn't be more excited and honored to be on your show. I think you're so amazing and you bring so much value. And thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. Now, you shared kind of a funny story before we hit the recording. So Alla and I have worked together in the past. So she's been a client. She's been in the Sales Maven Society. And, but I wasn't sure how we initially got connected. So I don't know if you're comfortable resharing that story a little bit, but it made me laugh. So I'm hoping it'll make others laugh too.
So it was about 2 years ago. And usually in the evening time, I like to listen to podcasts, and it was getting late and I haven't showered yet. And so I turned on the podcast, somebody that I follow, and I jumped in the shower while it was playing. And so Nikki popped up, and as Nikki was talking about the fact that she's in sales, and because I am in sales, so sometimes I just kind of rolled my eyes because a lot of times salespeople are so self-centered. And so had I not been, sadly as it is, but had I not been in the shower, I would probably have just gone next podcast. But I was in the shower, and in the first few minutes, I was so drawn to what I heard. I listened to the entire podcast, And Nikki was talking about the strategies and how to talk to customers. And she brought her NLP training, something that a lot of us are not familiar with. And I just could not wait. I knew that NLP training is not something I would go through, but if I followed Nikki, I would get a chance to learn more. So I went, as soon as I got out of the shower, I went and I found her podcast. I found her website, and probably a few weeks later, I joined the Sales Maven Society. So that's been almost 2 years ago. I have to just say that I have learned so much. And I'm so thankful. And like Nikki said, we worked together a year ago when I was speaking internationally, and I just knew that with Nikki's help, I could deliver even better value. So I'm forever thankful for that.
Oh, I love that. Well, first of all, thank you for all your kind words. But I have to say, I find it hilarious that you were the prisoner in the shower and forced to listen to me. I mean, kind of, I feel bad for you, but I do think it's funny. And I'm so grateful that you found value in it and that you then pursued, and we got to get to this place where now I'm so honored to get to like hold up your book and tell people like, go grab her book and follow her. She's amazing. She's got amazing things to share. And I feel really honored that I have gotten to work with you. And so thank you for that. Now, before we dive into the topic a little bit, I do want to ask a little bit about your background, because you started selling vacuum cleaners, but I'm imagining that there's some more to the story. Are you comfortable sharing a little bit? Because I know you're I know you're a very interesting person, but I don't actually know much about your background.
Thank you. I am happy to share my background. And sometimes looking back, it makes me kind of chuckle and say, did I really go through this journey? So obviously, you can hear my accent and people have guessed, oh my gosh, are you from New York? In reality, my family immigrated from Kiev, Ukraine, none other than, 3-4 years ago. Most of the people would not have heard, but everybody's heard. So I was 15 years old when we immigrated to the United States. And as I was trying to figure out how to fit into a totally different culture, I was also learning how to speak English. So I did not speak a word of English. And in high school, needing part-time jobs, I had so many of them. And what I really was surprised is that all the sales jobs that I had in high school, I liked them better than anything else. And because they drove me to utilize interpersonal skills, from body language to the facial expressions to listening, and while using visualization aids, to convey my message. But what I also didn't realize at that time, that was my sandbox for letting me play, experiment, and hone the craft that would later become my passion. So now fast forward to my college years, I studied accounting in college, and one might say, well, my gosh, why accounting? Because one of my teachers said, you should be an accountant. And I said, well, what's an accountant? And she said, you're good with numbers, but not your English skills. So in college, I studied accounting. I have to say that the highlight during my college years was when I added a third part-time job to my 2 accounting jobs, and none other than selling vacuum cleaners door to door. And I thought, oh my gosh, I can go out and have fun. And what I even was more excited about is that this job that I did part-time for a few years actually came with in-house training. It came with role playing, shadowing, and I was a quick learner. And so what has happened that I have become very quickly very good at all of the skills that I learned, but there was still a problem. I still could not meet my sales goals. No matter what I did, I couldn't meet my sales goals. And I realized that it's not that I didn't know how to overcome objections. It's not that I didn't know how to ask for the sale. It's none of it. The problem was that I could not get through the front door to let me showcase my skills. And so what I have come to realize, that's 50%. If I could get in through the front door, that was 50%. I was 50% closer to sale. Mm-hmm. So ask for help. It's like, oh my gosh, tell me about the door etiquette. But however, everybody's suggestions didn't produce any results. And then what I realized, so months later, I realized that I was missing 2 things. One, I was missing confidence. I was missing that confidence, that internal confidence that would want somebody to have a conversation with me and let me through the door. And the second thing I was missing was a guide on acquiring it, a guide. So I couldn't figure out why were there, guides and manuals on how to drive or on how to cook, but there was no cookbook on how to gain confidence. And then another thought struck me, and it was, maybe I'm out of luck. And if you're either born confident, or was I really out of luck? And so it was a long process of discovery. And by the time and that's really when my quest to discover confidence building fundamentals began. How do you gain that confidence? By the time I graduated college, I figured a thing or two. Even with my broken English, I was actually, not only did I get an accounting degree, but I also was the top salesperson in the entire college program in the US, selling door-to-door vacuum cleaners and Amen. And I even got a small scholarship to pay for my accounting degree. So when I graduated, I started with one of the top 3 S&P 500 companies. It was ultimate achievement, especially for me, first generation living in the United States, and I got a degree. And if you asked me, I was going to retire from that company. I wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
However, as it happens in life, 2 decades later, life threw a curveball, and our third child had a medical emergency, which retired me from corporate life. And soon after that, an opportunity came up, and literally overnight, I became an entrepreneur and had my own jewelry business. And as I was trying to navigate the jewelry business, I also got introduced to direct sales or network marketing.
Yeah.
And strangely enough, even with going through college and everything, I've never even knew that the industry ever existed. And it's an incredible industry, because it gave me a platform to train, speak, lead teams, but also apply my, at the time, undocumented system, my sales system. And so I consistently, during the time, I consistently ranked among top producers for new customer acquisitions in a multi-billion companies. I even landed a spot 11 out of 12 months in Success from Home magazine, and I became a national marketing director. And in 2017, I started Sell Yourself for Success. And you read my introduction, and so I thank you for that. But that's really how the journey has occurred. And so all of my sales training, all of my training, not just sales training, because I was going to touch on this part, starts with building confidence, building confidence. And I also work with people in non-traditional sales job, because we're all in sales.
Amen, sister.
Amen. And sales it's universal. I mean, it's universally beneficial. And I think what a lot of times people don't realize is that sales is about effective communications. It's about negotiation. It's about persuasion. And I even had an attorney that came through my training, and she said, well, I'm coming to support you. But by the time she left, she said, hey, I could pitch judges better on, my point of view and what I'm trying to say. And then the last thing I want to say is that people buy you first. People buy you first before they are even open to hear about your product or service. So that's why I named my company Sell Yourself for Success. And it's so important. Having confidence is so important. And what I call it is your confidence is your invisible business card.
I love that. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing your story. And I just want to give a little whoop, whoop for all your success, because that is amazing. And those are quite some accomplishments that you have. And, with my background in sales and knowing what it takes to be at the top and stay at the top, that, it's really something significant and special that you have accomplished. And knowing that at the age of 15, you didn't even speak the language, that is so mind-blowing to me. Where you started and where you are today. It's really, it's a beautiful success story. And I appreciate that you shared it.
Thank you for allowing me to share it. Thank you.
Okay. So we're going to dive in now to the questions. So the concept we're going to dig into, because I know I'm talking to the expert here, is how to build confidence and let go of self-doubt, which frankly is such an important piece in order to sell successfully. So I'm going to add a little spin on this here, because one of the things I think a lot of times that holds people back is this self-doubt, this negative self-talk, and this idea of like, I don't feel confident, so therefore I'm going to do everything I can to not sell. Right? Like I'm not going to do sales in my business because I don't feel confident around it. There's all this self-doubt getting in the way. And when you can start to build confidence and remove that self-doubt, then you can really show up, I think, very genuinely in conversations. So here's my first question to you, my friend. If I were to stand in for you for a day, so lucky me, get to be Alla for a day, and what is the first thing that I have to do or think in order to approach this idea of building confidence and letting go of self-doubt?
It's a great question. It's a great question. And it's there's a lot of things that we can discuss. But if you ask me for the first thing, so I can tell you what you after that. But the first thing you want to do is become consciously aware of your thoughts. From the moment you wake up and up until you go to bed, and throughout the day, you are very aware of your own self-talk, which for most people is not a positive one. Mm-hmm. And you have a process. So if you have mastered the skill, then you have a process of countering it. And it's almost second nature. You don't even think about it. You don't allow that negative thought to even come into your brain. And if it does, then you have the tools to counter it. And I can continue. We can stop here. But that's the number one thing.
Okay. So I love this. Become consciously aware of your thoughts. In NLP, we were taught this thing around, they called them ants, automatic negative. Was it automatic negative thoughts or self-thoughts? And this whole idea of like learning how to catch your ants was the thing. So I love this. Consciously become aware of your thoughts. Okay, so I'm consciously aware of my thoughts now. What specifically do I have to do to behave like you?
Can I walk you maybe through the day?
Yeah.
So if I was to walk you through a typical day, so as you wake up, instead of scrolling, and this is what I do, instead of scrolling on your phone, you're looking on social media or you're looking at the news, you have to do this thing. So you are saying your I am statements, you're saying your declarations, and you have to do this while I typically do it while I'm still in bed. Mm-hmm. And I read my I am statements. And then the minute I'm done, I'm out of bed. I immediately get out of bed and then go on with my day. But what I do is I shift my thinking. So oftentimes as we wake up, we think, oh my gosh, what's on my plate today? Oh, it's that networking event. I know no one's going to be there that I need to meet. Or, I started this thing and I know I'm not good at it, but whatever. And so we say to ourselves things that we wouldn't dare say to other people. So you say, I am so dumb, or I know nobody wants to read my book, and I have to to counter my own thoughts as I was writing my book. Who would want to read my book? Or, you have stumbling blocks. And so I am bringing value to the people reading my book. And so I have personal I am statements and I have business I am statements. And there's a chapter on the book tells you exactly how to write them, but you can also screenshot them on your phone. And I remember the very first time I was doing it, when I made a commitment to do it daily, they were on my phone. And I literally whispered them, and it's going to remain a mystery whether or not I was whispering not to wake up my husband or that he wouldn't think that I was crazy. but doing this consistently really changes the trajectory of the day, and it gives you that confidence, and it sets your mind in a positive direction. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing you do. Before you get out of bed, you read your I am statements, and these are I am statements that, assuming you have already achieved it, they don't have to be true. So if your goal, for example, on your personal is to be in the best physical health, then you said, I am in the best physical health already. If your goal is if you want to reach a certain goal, you say, I am already at that goal. So it sets your mind to think totally different. And you set the trajectory of your day. So that's the first thing you do. Okay. So once you get out of bed, then once you get out get out of bed, I usually look at my day. And if it's a day that I'm meeting with a potential client, or maybe I'm on a call, or maybe I am actually training someone. So you try to identify situations in which you might feel uncomfortable. Maybe they make you a little anxious. So what are those situations? Maybe you're going to a networking event, you're attending a conference, or maybe you're going to a family, Thanksgiving coming up, you're going to a Thanksgiving family dinner, and there might be people who make you feel uncomfortable or for whatever reason. So instead of saying to yourself, oh my gosh, that client, I'll never get their business, or I won't do this, because your mind goes into different directions. So I have something called the mindful boost, and there's a whole chapter on the mindful boost. And so those are really, they could be an accessory. So for example, a ring, it could be a coin, a tie, or a shirt, just something special and meaningful to you. So for me, for example, anytime I'm on the podcast today, I'm wearing my grandmother's ring who's long passed, but she's with me. So if I tell myself, hey, I have her ring, I'm going to do great. I am wearing high heels and I'm sitting here, nobody sees me. I am at home doing podcasts, but wearing heels make me sit taller and straighter, whatever it is. It could be an activity. It could be something that you do, maybe listen to a particular song, or if there you are, you pulled up in front of the client's office and you're getting ready to go in, instead of, we tell ourselves, oh my gosh, I don't even know if they want to hear what I have to say. I don't know if I'm going to get the business. You can have a prayer. You can have a quote that you say. You can say, like, every story in the book ends with, you've got this. So instead of having doubts, because that's what we do as humans, you say, I've got this, and you go in. So that's one of the other things that I do. And then let's see. Another thing you do is we select our attire. We talk about, I know that there's so much talk about dress for success, and there's not a whole lot of, I can say that, yes, that you need to dress for success because people will judge you regardless of what you think. But what people don't think is the clothes are not just about what they say about you. A huge part is, what does it say to you? Because the way you feel in your clothes will affect your body language. It will affect your posture. It will affect how you communicate if you're not comfortable. And it doesn't matter. You might wear the most expensive designer suit, but if you don't feel 100% comfortable, you can't move. Or if you're going to raise your arm or whatever you're doing, writing on the board, and your shirt will rise, well, that's going to really knock your confidence down. So, and what I say that, you want to try these outfits, see how you feel. And some outfits will add to what I call a tank of confidence, and some will deplete it. So check your fuel indicator. So anytime you go anywhere, because it creates self-doubt that people don't even think about. And a lot of being confident versus not being confident is knowing, what is it that knowing what you need to do for you to gain that confidence will actually add to your confidence, and it will knock your self-doubt. So knowing, hey, I'm wearing this clothes and my tank of confidence is on full. I have my mindset is set in the right place. I have a mindful boost, whether I'm wearing it or it's in my pocket. And so you really set yourself up for a win.
Are you ready to up-level your sales game? Well, here is a gift for you. It is the Mastering the Sales Conversation mini training. This training gives you my proven step-by-step approach to sales so that you can go from that overwhelmed and intimidated approach that you have to sales to feeling confident and leading a conversation so that you easily guide somebody to hiring you. You can get it right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/mastering. This is my gift to you. Go grab it now.
Another thing that people can do, or that you can do if you're Alla for the day, before really anything, I use visualization techniques. So before you meet a client, before you go into a meeting, you want to utilize the power of visualization, because visualization has been used by monks, priests, athletes, all the performers, and it works for all of them. So why should we, as everyday individuals, not visualize as you go into that meeting? You already have your mindful boost, you have the right attire, but visualize yourself walking out with a signed contract or whatever that means. If it's in the personal life, visualize yourself leaving this family event with you had a great time, you interacted with the people that you were so worried to see. So visualization starts by seeing yourself achieving whatever it is that you want to achieve, and then you go through it twice. You actually gives you an extra practice component, because the first time you overcoming objections, you overcoming obstacles in your mind, and then you're doing it again in real life. So use visualization. Another thing that I do, and that really, really helps confidence, is preparation. And who doesn't know that you need to be prepared? But oftentimes people prepare for big things. Oh my gosh, I have this huge presentation and I need to prepare. I have this meeting with a client and I know nothing about, but then people don't really prepare for small, mundane things, which in the moment, it doesn't seem like they're actually making a difference, but they really do. And the best way I can explain it is as comparison to salt. When food has salt, it tastes just like it should. But if for some reason the food is lacking salt, there's something missing. And so just the same with the lack of preparation, everybody will notice that there's something missing. So being prepared, even if you talk to clients, potential clients on the phone every day, and you give the same pitch, but prepare for each meeting. Go and take some time to research about the client, and that extra preparation, and I give all the step-by-step instructions in the book on exactly what needs to be done. So preparation.
Awesome.
And before I talk about really self-doubt, because I think it's really addressing the self-doubt as a whole, I would like to give one other tip. And it's something that we don't think, that's the whole thing of being confident. We don't think about these little things. And especially, so we're going to talk about compliments. And women deflect compliments more than men, something like 80% more, but they equally deflate compliments. So let's say you are a little nervous and you walked into the room and you're sitting with a potential client and you're presenting your services, your products, whatever, or you could be in a corporate environment and you're presenting your idea. You might not even be in true sales. You're presenting your idea and you want the management to purchase this idea. We actually do this exercise as a role playing in a corporate environment. And so I have somebody to come up and I give them scripts. And so they pretend that they're all sitting. And I said, okay, there you go. Tell her. Oh my gosh, Mary, your blouse is so beautiful. Oh, it's been in my closet for years. Oh, and so Mary thinks that she's being humble, but what she's making the person who gave her the compliment feel very uncomfortable, because all of a sudden you're going from a positive interaction, you're going into negative, because now the person who gave it to you feels really bad. And so now they're scrambling to say, well, let's see, what else can I say to Mary? Well, Mary, it's okay. It really goes nicely with your pants. So now they have to give you another compliment. And so it starts out a meeting on a negative note. And then the second thought goes through this person's head. Well, if Mary can't accept my compliment and she is not confident enough to accept my compliment, why should she get my business? And then you go, okay, well, let's get started. So now you just really ruined the entire positive energy in the room to something negative. And the energy, once you change that energy, it's really difficult. So knowing that you need to accept the compliment is actually a confidence booster in itself. And I give all these different ways on how to accept the compliment. First of all, you don't you don't have to give a compliment right back. Well, your shirt looks great too. Or, you don't have to say anything. All you have to do is just say, thank you. Your compliment means a lot. I appreciate you being attentive. And so it is so important knowing, but if you do accept the compliment, knowing that you have accepted somebody's compliment, you will gain that confidence. It'll give you an extra boost of confidence because I accepted somebody's compliment. So that's just one other thing that I do mindfully throughout the day. But now that you've heard me talk about it, start paying attention to what people do when you compliment somebody. 80% of the time, they will knock themselves down. And it's not being humble. Yeah.
It's that deflection. I get it.
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to make a couple comments to the listener. So here's what I heard, or here's, I just want to check in and make sure that that we're on the same page. So I heard you give really kind of 6 strategies as far as behaviors throughout the day. So the first one is start your day with the I am statements. I love that so much. And then this idea of the mindful boost, and that there's something that you can relate back to confidence. So it could be like, for your example was your grandmother's ring. It could be a song or a prayer or a quote, something that really, like, when you hear it, it's like, oh yeah, that speaks right to the heart of me. Think about the attire. And I really loved how, because we do always hear is like, what do your clothes say about you? I haven't really heard anybody say, like, what are your clothes saying to you? So I love that so much. And that can also really set you up for a win when you think about it that way. The 4th thing was to visualize, and that you have to visualize it twice. I thought that was a really succinct and important strategy, that it's not just the one time of having success, because the first time there's going to be objections and there's going to be some negative self-talk and all of the stuff that goes along with it. So make sure that you go through your visualization twice. Number 5 is preparation, that it's important that you prepare. So it doesn't always feel, these are my words, but when you're giving a presentation, even if you've given it a million times, it can fall really flat if there isn't preparation. And boy, do I know that one. And then the 6th thing was about the compliments and not deflecting. And I teach a lot around that too. And I think it's a really important aspect of learning how to accept a compliment. And I always say that the one thing that when you deflect a compliment, you are essentially saying to the person who gave you the compliment, you're wrong, which is not a good way to start a meeting. So even though you mean it from this place of like, oh, I'm trying to be humble, it doesn't come across that way to the person who gave the compliment. So be really careful about learning how to gracefully accept the compliments. And I love that you've got some strategies of how to do that and responses in the book. Okay, so we've talked about now this idea of behaviors. Here's my next question is, what are your goals when it comes to building confidence and letting go of self-doubt?
So let's talk about self-doubt. Self-doubt, one thing that I always say, that self-doubt does not discriminate against your success in life, your age, or anything else. Does not discriminate based on age or degree of success. Okay. So throughout the day, even the most confident people can experience self-doubt. Mm-hmm. Self-doubt can originate from, goodness, so many sources, whether it's from childhood experiences. It could be words of a bully. It could be words of a teacher or maybe a coach or something that someone said that you're literally carrying with you. And anytime maybe you encounter a situation, even at work or throughout the day, you can hear those words. So it is normal. Actually, I don't know if it's normal, but it does happen. It also could be because of maybe you have not succeeded at something in the past, and all of a sudden you're trying to do something similar and you have a new direction, but then you also doubt yourself. Or it also could be words of a close friend dealing with their own insecurities or their own problems. Not to mention the imposter syndrome, that affects, believe it or not, it affects 70 to 80% of population, regardless of your status. It could be a CEO. And most of the people affected, it's highest in business and education. So 70 to 80% is very high. So it affects so many people. The Imposter Institute, there is such a thing as Imposter Institute. And if you look at their statistics, they train about 50% women and 50% men. So it doesn't affect only women. So what are the strategies? So anytime you have that happen, I have strategies, and I literally try to grab them like right at that minute, because I talk about it. There's a long story in the book. But that's what I say. We send our thoughts down the rabbit hole. So anytime we have self-doubt, we send our thoughts down the rabbit. So what do you do? So I'm going to give these 5 steps, and they work. And then the goal is for them really to become second nature, to where you don't even question. So you want to question the validity of your doubts. Is what I'm saying to myself true? And sometimes when you say, oh my gosh, I'm dumb for starting this. Well, say it out loud. Am I dumb for starting this? Why don't you ask people who know you? Am I dumb for starting this? So catch yourself, doubt your doubts. If in fact you're lacking some training, well, go get some training. You cannot replace. So if somebody hasn't studied for a test, you cannot replace. There's nothing you can do, to get rid of the doubt, except for having an action plan to go get that training. But a lot of times people's doubts they're not founded. They're not real. So they're just things that we say to ourselves. So question the validity of your doubts. The second one is become consciously aware and acknowledge them. And I have a phrase. So anytime I deal with doubt, I say, go away, rabbit, go away. So the minute I catch myself, like I said, at the very beginning, the first thing you want to do is become consciously aware of your thoughts. So the minute I hear doubts, I say, go away, rabbit, because the book is called Get Out of the Rabbit Hole. Yeah. So I say, get away, go out, go away, rabbit, go away, rabbit, go away. So that's my saying. So I acknowledge and I named my doubting thoughts. So now I'm really aware. So what do you do after that? So you want to shift the direction of your thoughts to the only place, to now. That's really the only thing you can control. You can't control the past. You can't really control the future, but you shift them to now. And so how do you do that? So you say, go away, rabbit, go away. And then you can focus on your breathing, or maybe a song you listen to, or sit quietly, or whatever. There's so many things that are on the internet that people can Google how they can come to now. So to sit still, breathe, whatever it is. And then they want to replace those thoughts with just the opposite. So if you're saying that I am going for an interview and I'm not going to get nobody, or I'm doing a presentation, they're not going to buy my idea. Well, shift it to something else. Shift it to say, I have years of experience and the president will want to hear from me. So it just gives a totally different perspective. So you will go into the meeting with a totally different mindset. And I've had, there's a lot of people that actually have been using these, and I will get a lot of texts saying, oh my gosh, texts or messages from CEOs of large companies saying that these strategies really help the imposter syndrome, and it really helped them divert their mind and deal with self-doubt. So that's really how I deal with self-doubt. The minute something comes on, go away, rabbit, go away. And then you attack it and you deal with it.
I love this. Okay. So just to recap it.
Yes.
So is it true? Ask yourself the question, become consciously aware. So acknowledge what's going on, what's being said, and then invoke the go away, rabbit, go away. And then
or whatever expression you want to come up with.
Yeah. So come up with your own version. So if that doesn't resonate with you, then come up with your own. Although if it does resonate with you, I'm sure Alla will let you borrow it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So then I like this idea also of shifting your direction to the now, like getting yourself back to like the present moment. And so how do you do that? Have some kind of strategy to do that. So it could be focusing on your breathing. It could be listening to a song. It could be sitting quietly. But if you don't know yet how to bring yourself back to your present, that will be something to strive to achieve, because that is going to be a way for you to really let go of the self-doubt. So I love that. Did I miss anything?
No, absolutely. And then you just replace it. We replace your doubting thoughts with totally opposite, with the positive. And I have a bracelet actually that has a little hole in it, and you can put a drop of essential oil. And so when that happens, I just kind of smell it, and it brings me to now, and it shifts the direction of my thoughts. But it's so important. And the reason the book actually called Get Out of the Rabbit Hole is because sometimes you don't realize how often you send your thoughts down the rabbit hole. And when I launched Sell Yourself for Success, my program, Ignite Your Results, that I thought was going to take me a year to complete, because I kind of had all the pieces. I've been practicing them for years. It took 3 years. And the reason it took so long is because of the words that I repeated over and over in my mind, that were the words that someone said. And so they would really literally stump me. And I dealt with it for so long. And so that's one of the reasons also that the book is written, and it's called Get Out of the Rabbit Hole.
I love that so much. Okay. Is there anything we haven't talked about that you want to make sure that you share specifically around building confidence and letting go of self-doubt?
Oh, there's a lot. I mean, there's so many different things. I guess there's so many different things that we can do. And I think if people just take the things that we have discussed today, and like in the book, yes, we talked about the strategies today, but the book offers personal stories. And the reason every strategy that we discussed today has a personal story around it, because strategies fade, but stories stay. So if they remember my story, then they will remember the strategy. And so like even on compliments, people might forget, but the reason that I even talk about compliments is because people used to compliment me on my accent. And for years and years, I would say, oh, I hate my accent. I hate my accent. You know, I've lived here for so long and I can't stand it. And then at one time, this lady came up and she said, Alla, she said, your accent is who you are. And she said, it's a part of you. And if you spoke without an accent, it wouldn't be authentic. And then she said, it's my gift to you. And then she turned around and left. And I just stood there and I said, how many gifts have I rejected? Because over the years, so many people would say, I love your accent. And I have literally gave back every gift. So think of your compliments as a gift that somebody gives you and confidently accept it. So these strategies, they take actually, while they sound easy to implement, it takes a while for them to become second nature.
It's like building muscle memory. Like you've got to practice, right?
Exactly. That's one of the things I absolutely say is that building confidence is exactly like building muscle. Just like you can build muscle, you can build confidence. And confidence is something you can learn, practice, and master just like any other skill. And just like as you get fit, you got to keep going back to the gym to continue. The same with these confidence building strategies.
Yeah, just like a muscle. Yeah. If you don't work it, it's going to shrink.
Absolutely.
So confidence being the same. So I love this so much. All right. So as we start to wrap up just a little bit here, I always like to ask a little something extra so we can get to know you a little bit more, although you have been so gracious in sharing some really wonderful pieces of who you are. And I'm thankful for that. Here's one of my questions is, what's something that brings you pleasure or joy?
Oh, what a good question. Can I split it? I would like to split it, I guess, in personal life.
Sure.
My most, in my personal life, the thing that brings me joy is Thanksgiving. It's my most favorite holiday. And there's nothing better when I have all 3 kids and my daughter is married. They come and then we have friends and we all enjoy the holiday recipes that I am not allowed to change a single one.
Yeah.
And everybody is just together. So that's in my personal life. That's something that just brings me joy. And then in my professional life is getting messages from people. Like one of the messages that says, I've said twice today, go away, rabbit, go away. And I was able to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. Or an email that I got 2 weeks ago. And it says, as a breast cancer survivor, I now feel confident enough to start a book club with other breast cancer survivors going through your book, because to gain the confidence that we have all lost during this process that they went through. So that brings me joy. Or if somebody messages me and says, hey, your book inspired me to start working out, there's a chapter on how that builds confidence. So that's probably, those are the things that really, really bring me joy.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful. I love it. All right. What's something exciting going on in your business right now?
Well, now the book, as of 2 weeks ago, the book is available on audiobook. So that's very exciting, especially for the younger generation who do not like to read.
I love to read, and I do love an Audible too. So I get it.
Yeah. So it's out. And then I'm also taking an exciting extra step of adding the mental health component to my training programs, because I believe that mental well-being is crucial in having a confident work and effective workforce. And so going with the confidence, it's a perfect addition to my programs, and it opens up new avenue for growth.
I love that. I love that. Awesome. Okay. Last question. How can people listening get in contact with you? What's the best way?
Probably on LinkedIn. They can reach out to me on LinkedIn or on Instagram, Alla Bardov on LinkedIn. So I'll be happy to connect with anyone. And just thank you. It's such an honor to be on your podcast and to be in your Sales Maven group and to work with you. And it's thrilled. Thank you.
You are so kind. Thank you. Appreciate you so much. All right. For those of you listening, all of Alla's information will be in the show notes. The book, Get Out of the Rabbit Hole, Building Confidence to Overcome Self-Doubt, Improve Performance, and Reach Your Potential. Grab this book. You're going to want it. It's packed full of really beautiful, lovely, important, useful content. That's what I'll say about that. All right. And for you, the listener, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. Would love to hear your takeaways. Go ahead and tag Alla and I on social media and share what was your biggest takeaway from today's show. And if you have a go away, rabbit, go away story that you can share, please reach out to Alla and share it, because as she said, this is something that brings her joy. And don't you want to bring joy into somebody's life? I know. I hope that I bring a little into the lives of the people that I get the great pleasure of connecting with. So thank you for being here. Thanks for listening. As I said, have a great rest of your day. Take care, everyone.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.
Are you ready to increase your confidence in your sales conversations? I have a gift for you that is going to show you exactly how to do that. It is my Closing the Sale ebook. It's all about leveling up your confidence, giving you language to use, how to seamlessly move somebody through the sales process. And you can get it right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/Maven. Go grab it.